Invitation part 2. So now that I'm told that I like to be invited, I'm gonna mention something about the situation I was invited. There was a situation where I kind of introduced a man to a woman that went somewhere, a ministry that I was a part of. And so with that, I kind of was always hoping that I would be a best man or something like that. But that didn't happen. So me being a photographer or somebody who took pictures, it's like the groom kind of said, well, hey, you come, bring your camera and just take some pictures. So I'm like, okay, I did that. I wasn't planning on doing it, but since he said do that, I did that. Upon getting there, chilling there with my wife and a couple of other folks that I know, I was approached by one of the relatives of the bride and was told, oh, well, don't want you to take pictures right now because, don't want to have the photographer feeling uncomfortable. So I'm like, okay, put my camera away, but I noticed a lot of other people were taking pictures. And I'm like, wow, this is odd. I'm like, but okay, cool. He the one wanted me to take pictures anyway. I wasn't gonna bring my camera because again, I thought I was gonna end up being a best man or a groomsman or whatever because I kind of suggested them even being in a relationship. So just sitting there, so my wife asked me to go get some cake. Go get her some cake, and the same woman who told me not to take pictures, as I reached for a piece of the cake for my wife, I didn't even want none. The woman smacked my hand. And it's like, oh, that's not for you. And I'm like, what? She was like, well, my son gonna get that piece. And I'm like, well, can I get a piece for my wife? And basically, I ended up going back to my seat without a piece at all because she done smacked my hand. And I'm like, man, I went back to the table and let them know what had happened. And I'm like, wow. So I'm already, told not to use my camera at all. And now I done got basically disciplined or whatever for trying to get a piece of cake for my wife. I'm like, this whole event was not about me. So I'm like, let me get out of my feelings and stuff like that and, just get into the thing. Near the very end of the wedding, where it was almost completely over, the reception and everything, then she comes and say, oh, but you can take pictures now. Again, everybody else in there taking pictures with their camera phones, with their cameras. There was so many people taking pictures other than the photographer. And so I'm like, I'm gonna just let it be. Now, after the wedding and everything, I never even mentioned it to my friend what had happened. So about a couple of months after he started, he's like, talking to me, and it kind of came up about the pictures, and I'm like, well, I really didn't get to take no pictures because your wife's auntie told me not to take pictures, and I even, let him know about me getting hit, and he was surprised or whatever. It's like, wow. Another situation, I got invited to a wedding, I flew all the way out of state. And I'm really about how I say what I'm gonna say, and I guess I probably offended that person because they cooked some food for me and they asked me how was it, and it wasn't that great, and I was honest with them. But went forth with the wedding, and I was participated there, and the children kind of was disrespectful towards me, but it's just like it was what it was. I done been invited to quite a few different things in life, and it doesn't always go that well. I used to be a part of a marriage group I was invited to. In that group, I basically was expressing things that was going on with me. I said some things one time, and I could tell people were offended, so I apologized. Later afterwards, they wanted me to come to the group and apologize, because somebody was offended, but they wouldn't tell me exactly who was offended. And I'm like, man, if you tell me who, I'm like, I apologized then, and everybody said they accepted my apology. Why do I need to make a blanket apology and not know who am I exactly, who apologizing to, who is offended? I basically stopped going to that group. It's just like, wow, it didn't make no sense to me. Another marriage group I was a part of, they had a couple of holiday parties, and since, me being an Israelite, I didn't participate, they basically stopped inviting us out. So it wasn't nothing else, with it. I guess the person that was really running things that invited us anyway, they stopped running things because they had stuff going on in their marriage. So, not that they would have a marriage problem, but it was an injury to their husband. So, the other people, we didn't have a relationship like that. So not getting an invitation, it kind of didn't surprise me because we weren't connected to everybody else like we were connected to them. But again, you can't control who's going to invite you and not invite you. I've been invited to a lot of different things, even from my family. And, a lot of times my perspective is viewed as an interesting thing, I guess. One time I went to a family gathering and a lot of children around, and all of the music was, very sex oriented and cursing. And I was like, hey, can we change the music? But of course, it's not my house, not my gathering, and that probably made some people uncomfortable, even though I felt very much uncomfortable having little children around when the language in the music was a certain way. If it was just adults, it wouldn't have been nothing, because I listen to that type of music every once in a while myself, if I be honest. But I didn't feel like it was appropriate for children to hear that type of music, especially since it was very sexual, sexually suggestive. But again, that was part 2. Shan Kula Carter. Shalom.